remember that Monday morning so distinctly. An AI interruption. Someone really excited, an author friend of mine whose book is selling on Amazon. He's got a strong YouTube channel with hundreds of videos, and an audiobook would be a great complement to what he's doing and be able to get more and more word out about his business. And we talked about Descript and 11 Labs and thought taking hundreds of his videos, clone the voice, we'll get an audiobook and put it on Audible. Well, after taking about 30 minutes of evaluating, I'm finding that it's actually easier to record the book than have to have AI do it for you. In this case, AI might even double the time. Game over? Maybe audio and video jobs are going to be an early growth sector opportunity for you all, side hustles, because it takes a lot of time to get an audio good enough for Audible, and there's a lot of people with books. So in this episode 43, AI audiobooks, promise versus reality, we're going to talk about the promise, how to do an audiobook, and I'm going to take you through the workflow and evaluation and why I said no here. To the reality, the facts of AI, even with cloning, we found you had to record specific things first. And remember, we're saying this to do right. You can have many different ways of doing it. And number 3, why you can't get on Audible, even if you have an AI audiobook. So we jump right into the promise, what you have to do to create an audiobook. Well, the first idea is my friend has a book. It's 276 pages, and so I take it into Microsoft Word. I could also do this in PDF and did an analysis, because when you want to do an audiobook, we're going to have somebody read this out. That somebody could be AI narrator, that could be a paid narrator, that could be the author. And it's 44,000 words and 240,000 characters. And it's very important to do that little analysis if you want to find out how long it takes, because when we went to ACX, and ACX is Amazon's platform, Apple has a platform, there's a lot of competition here. ACX estimates that a professional narrator that you would pay would take 9,300 words per hour as a typical rate. So we have about 44,000 words. That works out to about 4.5, 5 hours of finished audio. That's how long the audiobook will be. And those are professional finished hours called PFHs. That's different from the amount of time it would take to create that, because even with the professional for 5 hours, it would estimate take them 10 hours to get it done. And with my friend who's an author, he's good, he's a professional and a speaker, but it would still probably take him 3 times, maybe 4. There's a lot of ums and ahs, a lot of interruptions. It's hard to do that many hours of recording. You want to factor all that in when you're thinking about doing this, because it sounds really easy, but it's a grind. It's a grind. And so if you were to pay a professional narrator, because all of these audiobook platforms, there's Audiobooks, there's Findaway, there's ACX are the 3 top ones. Links are in the AI Optimist blog that goes with this pod. It costs $150 to $400 PFH, professional finished hour, meaning the finished hours. You're not paying for all the other work they do. It's the finished hours. So at ACX, they have a $250 minimum. So looking at our 5-hour project, just rounding it up, that's anywhere from $1,250 to $2,000 to get that done, even though we would still have to look at it, listen to it, edit it, review it, make sure everything worked out right. But you can trust on a professional narrator. You're paying them for finished hours, especially through Audible, that you'll probably get a better product. But again, it depends about the quality of the person, your communication, your clarity on your book. It's not just like reading a book. This is a performance. This is 5 hours. You can't just turn on an AI voice that sounds like this. You need to have some emotion. And while AI voices are getting much better, right now they're not even close. I mean, an actor would spend 20 hours, a voice actor, to do 10 hours of final finished hours. You're going to take longer. So if you look at that on an hourly level, that could be 10, 15, 20 hours of time, not including editing, not including a lot of other things. So if we did this and I want to clone a voice, I said, this is really great. And if you take a look, we have an 11 Labs document link that I'm showing on the screen, and you can also go visit yourself to be able to get an idea of how this all works. So now professional voice cloning, as you see at 11 Labs, you want to get the quality voice clone. But if you're doing something that we've all heard about, those are the instant voice cloning, where you could take 30 seconds to 5 minutes and record that and be able to do short podcasts, short intros to your videos. Most audio and video in an AI right now is really looking at 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, maybe a few minutes, some getting up to 5 or 10, but they're not doing 5 hours. It's just not even possible. So you want to make sure your expectations between what we all know is instant voice cloning, just 30 seconds, 5 minutes it goes, to professional voice cloning. And to do professional voice cloning, you're going to have to do more than just the basic recording. You're actually going to have to sit down and record some yourself. Now, that challenge of having to record for 30 minutes to 60 minutes yourself to train the AI on what you sound like, because remember, you're reading a book. What's the pacing? What's the cadence? What's the tone? How do you want people to react? Are there high points, low points? Is this just a work of nonfiction, or is it fiction where you have characters? It gets pretty complex. But let's take a listen to what Apple did, because all these services, Audible, Apple, they all offer voice narrations that they have created themselves. And you can take a listen to the ones at Apple, which are particularly good. This is Madison.
And about her, about the way she carried herself. The bright aura that had always surrounded Allison was missing from this woman.
Now let's look at Jackson.
I hadn't noticed, because I'd been staring at my feet. I couldn't believe the fields actually had an end.
Now that's crazy how good that is. But one of the reasons it's so good is those audiobook narrators submitted to find a way, and in the contract it allowed them to train Apple's AI, which is no longer allowed. And you won't find that at ACX or anywhere else. It's over. But what's funny is this is actually what was happening, though, and people didn't look at the contract. So you always want to look wherever you go. Where I'm telling you go, they're not going to take it, but you want to be aware that this has happened before. So you need to tell AI what to do, so you can maybe not get as good a voice as Apple has, but you can be able to get a voice that works for you. You could choose that narrator. You could pay the narrators. Again, $1,250 to $2,000 is our estimate for 5 hours here. Your obviously prices will depend, and there are people who charge more. But if the audio is good enough for Audible, it would have to have a consistent style. You read this again and again. It's got to be consistent. So we're doing a narrative, and to get that narrative done, we could rely on my friend who would have to sit in a studio. Remember, if he's doing 1 to 3 hours of finished work, that means 2 to 6 hours. Where's the line between doing this and then having to edit it in AI? Because we would have to download all the YouTube videos, right? They're 2 to 10 minutes to 17 minutes, put them together, and they're all different. They're all different sort of themes. There's not a consistency. So that kind of data, remember, from an AI viewpoint, the quality of the training data is what you get. So we test a short 2-minute YouTube video to see if it even would sound good because of the background noise, and honestly, it didn't. And we started realizing we're going to have to record this book. It's not instant voice. We can't get it that quickly, but this is a 4.5-hour video. So we want to do something, a 4.5-hour audiobook, excuse me. We want to do 30 to 60 minutes, 3 hours, and to train the voice, we have to be in a quiet environment. You have to be in a perfect spot. Thinking of working through the book, not just stepping up to the microphone and grinding through it. Hey, if that's your 10-hour gig, you can do that. Remember, that's 20 hours in the studio. That's a lot. So some people break it up in 2s. Some people will do 3s. And if you run your script first through an AI voice checker, like I'm going to show you, go through each challenging word. Because here's the deal. Even when you record it and you start the AI voice cloning, you define your voice. You take all this data in. You're like, wow, that sounds really good. Then you have to put it in and listen to how it pronounces the words. Because just like we're giving it an entire book that's already written, it doesn't know always how to pronounce some of the words. Now, there is a software called Pozatron that allows you to actually edit your AI voice clone video, because what you find is that it doesn't always speak the words. Take a listen to this little bit.
So if I click anywhere in the script, it will update the time bar at the top, and I can listen back from whatever point I click at. Any of these red underlines are the annotations Pozatron has marked. So these are potential mistakes. These have an associated card on the left-hand side where you tell Pozatron, this is okay, this is an error and I need to fix it, or there's a typo in the script.
See what he's doing right there? The word inserted is accidentally. The AI could not pronounce that word, and it highlights the words, and just like the script, you can change the words in the text to edit the audio.
So
But
we
what
need a
happens
human to give
is,
us the feedback of, yes, this is wrong, or no, this is fine. So I'm going to play this short section here to kind of show you how it works. And Kelly, I'll answer your question in just a second, now that we're at the proofing stage.
Our audio proofing tool is designed to catch the key mistakes your narrator may make during narration, including words accidentally added into the script by the narrator.
So here the script says words added into the script. The narrator said words accidentally added into the script. So we can see Pozatron's flagged that as a word inserted. And I'm going to mark this as a pickup.
so what they're doing there is actually picking out, it inserts words, it mispronounces words. And in my friend's case, he had a book on narcissism and narcissists to heal over the people suffering from histories with narcissism. That is a hard word even for me to say. So remember, as you look at that, you're going to have to edit this down. So just because you have it in writing doesn't mean it's spoken. Isn't that crazy? You'll find tons of words aren't easy yet for AI. And yes, it will get better, but we keep living for that future. If you want to do things, you want to do them chapter by chapter. And this is how Audible asks you to upload them too. Don't do the whole thing. Each chapter can train as a unit, and you've got to listen to make sure, even if you hire a narrator, that they said the words correctly. And to look through it, maybe do a checker like Pozatron to take a look at what words might be trouble words, words that you could actually have the speaker record individually so that they know, and train the AI to have to do that. And don't expect it to just do what you wrote. And that's the thing that just blew me away. But even with all that, let's say we could get on Audible with an AI audiobook, but we can't. They have a new way of doing this that they're doing and putting out sort of here and there for people on a wait list, virtual voice. But that virtual voice is actually going to tag AI narrated things. Do you want to be tagged as AI? It's a negative right now if you're getting an audiobook, because as you can hear, tone, voice, the pace, you're doing a longer piece. This is why AI not yet is going to be able to stitch it together, because it's part editing. And so while Audible does allow AI-generated audiobooks and is working with some famous authors, the virtual voice is not really what you should think about. Because some try to say, okay, I'm doing the virtual voice, and then they have this 5-minute recording that Audible asks you to put in about your book, sort of a snippet, and that's recorded by a real human. That's one hack. And some people will say, hey, it won't check and may not be able to define whether this is AI narrated. But what I learned was, if I want to create a real AI audiobook that works, I'm going to have to put in 1 to 3 hours recording, and maybe 30 minutes. Some people do that. But even there, I'm going to have to spend double that time. So it's 2 hours to 6 hours. And at a certain point, if I got to work 10 hours to get a 5-hour video, audio, I might just want to do it all myself, because when I give it to AI, I then have to create that voice. I then have to go with Pozatron or something else to be able to edit that and make sure that's okay. That can take 10, 15 hours, depends how quick you are. So the key differences between AI-generated audiobooks and human-narrated audiobooks, number one, the authenticity and nuance is off the charts better with humans. People pick it up. AI is going to get much better. But even then, 4 or 5 hours, you can see why there's professional narrators. I don't think they're going away, because they can give life and performance to your book. Because in number two, it's about the listener experience. Many listeners prefer the natural human quality of a professional narrator's performance instead of the synthetic sound. And even as that becomes more accepted, when will it reach the point where it can go up and down and have emotions and be able to read into the words? Because when someone's reading a book, it's their voice in their head reading the words. An audiobook, you're in charge of the words. And if they're bad, if they're not spoken right, if they're boring, people leave your book. And the nice thing about AI narration that's really amazing, it makes it available for a lot more people. So beyond the high quality Audible I'm talking about, we want to make sure that you can have the right kind of audio going forward, and that a lot of different people can be able to listen to it. Now, finally, we have the ACX audio submission requirements. And just to think about these as I scroll down, if you're watching, it has to be consistent in overall sound and formatting. And it can't have any background noises, mic pops, mouse clicks, excessive mouth noise, outtakes. It has to have opening and closing credits. So you have to read the title and the metadata, who wrote it, the title, the author, who's narrating, if it's somebody different, or if it is AI. It has to include a sample. They want 5 minutes. That's where people sort of hack it with a human sample and do the AI narrative. I'm not encouraging you, just have heard. And they submit them one chapter at a time. They have some technical specs you can take a look at. And honestly, when you're done, it's not that hard, but it brings a question. AI is supposed to save us all this time, and we love this audio and video hype. But if we're looking at AI audiobooks, promise or reality, it's all promise. The reality is you're still better off paying a pro to record it or doing it yourself, because you're going to get the quality that you need for a 4 or 5 hour performance. Sometimes AI can't do the job, and when it can, will it be able to edit and creatively put all this together like we can? Time will tell. I can't wait to see.